Welcome to all movie recaps. Do make sure to subscribe and leave a like for this video. In a dystopian future, ravaged by pollution and climate change, the world has deteriorated into a bleak and crumbling state. The human body has adapted through various biological alterations, including the absence of physical pain and infectious diseases. Additionally, due to the scarcity of clean water and food, the human digestive system has begun to undergo changes. The film commences with an 8-year-old boy named Brecken joyfully playing on the beach, although his mother Juna cautions him against consuming anything he finds on the ground, implying his tendency to ingest undesirable objects. Later, as he returns home and enters the washroom to freshen up, Brecken first brushes his teeth and cleans his face. To everyone's astonishment, he then sits on the floor and proceeds to consume the contents of the plastic dustbin, displaying a shocking behavior. With razor-sharp and highly advanced teeth, he effortlessly chews hard substances without any difficulty. Juna observes his actions but remains silent, clearly weary of her son's unnatural behavior. That night, Juna takes matters into her own hands. As little Brecken goes to bed, she slowly approaches him, holding a pillow, and places it over his face. Brecken cries out for help, but Juna presses the pillow firmly, suffocating him to death. Throughout the act, she displays no trace of guilt or remorse. Subsequently, Juna sits on the toilet seat and calls her ex-husband Lang, confessing to him that she has killed Brecken. She reveals that she never considered him their son, but rather a monster. Now that everything is over, she asks Lang to come home and remove the boy's lifeless body. Upon receiving the news, Lang breaks down in tears, devastated by the loss of his only child. Later that night, he arrives at the house but finds Juna missing. When he finally discovers his son's lifeless form, he becomes emotional once again, overcome by sorrow. The scene then transitions to another location, where a person named Saul is sleeping in a chamber resembling a cocoon, supported by various apparatuses. We learn that Saul suffers from a rare evolutionary disease, causing intense agony. The primary symptoms of the condition manifest as respiratory and digestive difficulties. To alleviate his pain, Saul sleeps in the cocoon-like bed, which provides relief. When he desires to eat, he sits on a specialized chair that twitches and rotates, aiding in the digestion process. However, this has become an uncomfortable experience, and Saul has lost his appetite in recent days. One morning, during his deep slumber, Caprice, Saul's girlfriend, enters the room and wakes him up. Saul complains about his malfunctioning machine bed, as he had trouble sleeping throughout the night. Caprice soothes him and proceeds to disclose the results of recent tests they conducted. She explains that Saul is developing a new organ within his body, which is causing him pain. Caprice then inserts a black tube into Saul's stomach to observe the new organ. Although she can't identify the exact nature of the organ, it appears to resemble an adrenal gland. Subsequently, she takes him to the National Organ Registry to officially register and trademark his new organ. Inside the registry, they meet Whippet, the department head, and his assistant Timlin. Whippet assures the couple that once the new organ fully develops, Saul will no longer experience pain. Whippet heads to his office to prepare documents, while Caprice and Timlin engage in conversation. When Timlin asks about their occupation, Caprice reveals that they are a performance artist duo. Their shows involve Caprice removing Saul's extra organs in front of a live audience, using specially designed equipment for the performances. Later, Whippet and Timlin strap Saul to a chair and examine his new organ. They leave a mark on it for tracking purposes and observe its effects. Caprice attempts to film the procedure with a camera attached to her ring, but Timlin stops her. After the procedure concludes, Saul and Caprice depart, extending an invitation to Timlin and Whippet for their upcoming art performance. In the subsequent scene, 2 technicians arrive at Saul's residence to assist in readjusting his bed and chair. They are from the same company that manufactured these machines. While working, the technicians explore the house and stumble upon an advanced autopsy unit. One of them recognizes the unit as an old model that the company discontinued long ago. When she inquires about it, Caprice explains that it's the same machine she uses to perform shows with Saul. The scene then transitions to the day of their art performance. Saul is sleeping inside the autopsy unit, while Caprice is dressed in a dark red dress adorned with buttons beneath her chest. These buttons control the arms of the autopsy machine during their surgery performance on Saul. They are surrounded by a large crowd, including Whippet and Timlin. After some time, the show commences, with Caprice using the machine to cut through Saul's body and expose his newly grown organ. During the procedure, which is gruesome, Saul experiences no pain. In fact, he derives pleasure from every single moment of it. As the show reaches its conclusion, the crowd erupts in cheers, expressing their satisfaction at the captivating spectacle. Among them is Lang, seen enjoying a dark chocolate bar. Following the successful performance, Timlin approaches Saul, applauding his talent and confessing to feeling aroused while watching him. Saul responds with gratitude, expressing his happiness in eliciting such a reaction. While they continue their conversation, Caprice notices them and becomes jealous. However, she maintains a professional demeanor and refrains from intervening. Meanwhile, an unsuspecting individual consumes the chocolate bar left by Lang and tragically chokes to death. The next day, Detective Cope questions Timlin and Whippet regarding Saul's case. Cope, representing the government, is investigating individuals attempting to modify their organs. Instead of disclosing confidential information, Timlin defends Saul, stating that his actions are solely for the purpose of his performances. Elsewhere, Saul attends a bizarre show featuring a performance artist adorned with ears all over their body, including hands, legs, and even private parts. After some time, as Saul prepares to leave, Lang appears and confronts him with an unusual request. Lang desires Saul and Caprice to conduct a show involving an autopsy on Brecken's body. Lang confidently reveals to Saul and Caprice that there is a surprise inside Brecken's stomach, capturing Saul's curiosity. He informs Lang that he will consider the proposition before departing. Upon reaching home, Saul discusses Lang's idea with Caprice. Caprice readily agrees, emphasizing the need to modify their autopsy unit for the performance. She enters the machine, examining the components that require adjustments. During the night, Saul covertly meets Detective Cope, exposing his secret role in assisting the detective in identifying those involved in illegal body modifications. Saul discloses his assignment to visit a cosmetic surgeon, and Cope grants him permission to pursue the lead. The following day, the technicians from earlier arrive at Saul's residence to modify the autopsy unit as instructed by Caprice. Meanwhile, Saul visits the cosmetic surgeon, who suggests installing a zipper in his stomach to showcase his newly grown organ to the audience at will. Saul readily agrees and undergoes the surgical procedure. Upon returning home, he proudly reveals the newly installed zipper to Caprice, who surprises him by sensually licking it, arousing his pleasure. In the next scene, Saul visits the prison, meeting Junna to inquire about her son Brecken. Junna, still devoid of remorse, describes her son as a non-human monster who consumed plastic and other harmful substances effortlessly. She discloses that Lang, Brecken's father and a member of a revolutionary group, intentionally created him. This group is notorious for manipulating internal organs and altering other body parts. Meanwhile, Lang enters a factory-like warehouse where his comrades diligently manufacture chocolates using plastics and other toxic wastes. Here, it is revealed that the random individual's death at the bar was a result of consuming toxic waste. Lang addresses his colleagues, expressing his intent to publicly unveil his son's extraordinary ability to digest plastic. The next day, Caprice attends an art show featuring a female artist who cuts and creates scars on her face. Caprice is deeply impressed by the scars and the artistic finesse displayed. Subsequently, she is approached by the performer, who invites Caprice to undergo modifications on her own face. After a momentary reflection, Caprice agrees to the proposition. Later, Caprice returns home with a scar modification on her forehead, and Saul expresses his approval. She expresses her desire to lead the upcoming autopsy on Brecken, and Saul agrees to let her take charge. Later that day, the couple visits Lang's residence and views the lifeless body of Brecken. Upon seeing the innocent face of the boy, Caprice becomes anxious and starts questioning her decision about the autopsy. However, Lang reassures her, emphasizing the importance of making a statement to the public and stopping the government's pursuit of the evolutionists. Lang discusses Saul's feeding issue and offers him a candy bar as a potential solution. Though skeptical, Saul keeps the candy bar in his pocket instead of consuming it. Lang proceeds to reveal how his group members modified their digestive systems to enable the consumption and digestion of plastic. He also discloses that his son, Brecken, was the only natural-born human with a digestive system capable of extracting nutrients from plastic. This revelation leaves Caprice and Saul stunned, further fueling their determination to perform the autopsy. The scene transitions to the day of the show, with Caprice commencing the autopsy on the deceased boy as Timlin, Lang, and a crowd of spectators watch eagerly. Saul looks into Caprice's eyes, smiles, and sheds a tear, signifying that his body has evolved to the point where he can digest toxic waste. The movie concludes with Saul sitting motionless on the chair, which has now ceased its movement. Do make sure to subscribe to all movie recaps, and like this video. Do make sure to also check back, we post a new movie every 2 days. Thanks for watching.